everybody, and welcome to another episode of BandChat. We are all here. Austin's here. Austin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Sup, everybody?
We got Brayson here. Brayson?
I'm very tired, very hungover, but I'm great.
Very tired, very hungover. What'd you get up to last night?
Just like, regular shenanigans, a little bit of Jackbox.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Good times. Yeah. Good times. Right on. Mike, how are we doing?
I'm doing great. I'm not hungover, so I'm like excellent. I'm peachy.
I'm
Right.
jealous.
Right on. And I am Miles, and today I am your host for the episode. I cannot wait to dive into what we got today. We are diving into a bit of storytelling today, revolving around our experiences with our tour vans. So a lot to unpack in this episode. Looking forward to diving into this. But before we do that, our icebreaker for the week. Since we're talking about tour vans this week, we thought it would be appropriate to make the icebreaker. What is your favorite track on Mario Kart? Let's start with Mike.
Ooh. I'm gonna go with Ribbon Road.
What
that one
game
where
is
it's
that?
like-
Really?
I think it's from Game Boy Advance, but I've been playing a lot of Mario Kart 8 lately, and it's on there, and it's just like you're in like a toy room, and so everything's just
Oh,
like
yes.
shrunk, and you're just like zipping along the ribbons, and there's like toys that you got to avoid. Very fun.
That's a good one.
Very nice. I like that. Brayson, how about you?
Now I'm a diehard Nintendo fan, so I feel like you guys would expect me to say something off like the N64 one, but I am loving Mount Wario from Mario Kart 8
Yep.
because it's not 3 laps. It's just one long course down to the bottom.
Yeah, from like the top to the bottom of the mountain. I love that one.
Yeah.
That one is pretty good. I fucks with that one as well. I feel you. I feel you. Austin, how about you?
Mine was originally a tie between two, but Brayson actually took one of mine. One of mine was Mount Wario. The other one I was gonna pick was DK Mountain.
DK Mountain.
DK Mountain has such like a classic feeling to me, and just the amount of hijinks that can happen within the 3 laps of that course is hilarious. You could fall off a bridge, you get shot out of a cannon, there are rocks everywhere. Oh my god. It's just chaos. So I guess I'll just rock with that one then, since Mount Wario has been taken.
I'm actually very glad you brought that one up, because as you guys were talking, like DK, I mean, I had my one that I was going to say, but then DK Mountain also popped into my head because it is so good. Like
It's just an all-around good course.
It's a lot of
great.
fun. Mhm.
Definitely the best one off double. That's a double dash one, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so I really like that one. And then the one that I was thinking of previously was Koopa Cape off of Mario Kart Wii. I love those waterfalls. Love that you go underwater. Oh, and Mario Kart Wii, that's my
That's
my
your home
stomping
base.
grounds. Yeah, that's my stomping grounds for Mario Kart. Like Wii wheel only. No GameCube controller. Only
You
Wii
crazy
wheel.
person. You
Really?
crazy person.
Only person I know who does that.
Really? Am I the only person you know that is like strictly Wii wheel?
Yes, 100%.
That doesn't just use like a controller. Good for you. That's impressive.
No, I love the Wii wheel. It's I don't know. Sorry?
I was gonna say you die on that hill, man. It's fine by me.
Yeah.
I actually have a really fun Wii Wheel story, real quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
We used to have a Blockbusters in our neighborhood back in the day. You guys probably remember.
Oh yeah.
And I rented like a racing game for Wii, and it came with the Wii Wheel. And then a week later, the Blockbusters went out of business and closed. And I still to this day have that game and the Wii Wheel in the Blockbusters case.
Love that.
That's
What game is it?
incredible.
It was like some monster truck game. It sucked, but I had a Wii Wheel.
Great.
So Miles is in business.
That's awesome. All right. Well, with the icebreaker out of the way, guys, it's time to start talking about our tour vans. Now, we were very excited to dive into this one. When we were planning it, we were trying to not talk about too much while planning it, just because we kept coming up with so many memories, and there were just so many little rabbit holes we can go in this conversation, or go down rather. So to start off, I'd like to take us back to how we used to get to gigs. So before we kind of went on tour, had to actually possess a tour van, we were just going to gigs like every band would. You know, we would have 2 vehicles, sometimes 3, depending on who needed a ride or if significant others were coming to the show. Yeah, like so that was how we used to get to shows. Do you guys? I mean, I can't remember who specifically it was. I think you, Austin, you and Brayson. It was mostly you guys who would drive, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because I always had like the big wagon, and that's where the gear would go in.
Yeah, and I always I've pretty much driven hatchbacks my entire life, like, up to my current car. I've always driven hatchbacks. That was the hill I'll die on. Except I'm already dead
He's
in it because
dead.
I drive a sedan. But but yeah, so Brayson and I always had the cars that could take the most shit. So we were just kind of the designated pack mules. But I mean, we didn't mind it. It was a noble duty.
Yeah, definitely. And so that's how it kind of started off. And then, you know, we never needed tour van. And then it came to the point where it's like, all right, it's time to expand our horizons. It's time to get on the road. So we started planning out a Western Canadian tour. That was our first ever tour that we had planned out. And so we had that all planned out. Do you guys remember at what point we actually started searching for the van in that planning process?
Oh,
So
Ooh.
we toured like July of 2017. I want to say that we bought the van in like April, May,
April,
Yeah.
May, something like that.
It was something like that. So we bought it in April, May, but before that, we started looking at other vans. So of course we had to shop around a bit. And I have a note here. So I believe it was Mike and Austin that went to go see this. All it says is Mystery Machine. So I need some clarification on this one.
Yeah.
So a friend of ours had his grandparents were like selling this old van, and he knew that we were looking for a tour van, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like maybe whatever, just like come check this one out." Warning: it's like pretty old, but it's pretty cool. And we showed up, and it was like a 70s like lime
Shag
green.
wagon.
Yeah, it was like a shag wagon. It was like it was excellent.
Yeah.
We're talking like no seat belts, like 3 on the
Three-speed.
tree.
Yeah.
It was very cool, but it would not have made a good tour van.
No, conceptually, it was an absolute dream van. In reality, it would have been terrible. But
I remember it having like wood panels and curtains and everything, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing. If we are gonna tour, we have to tour
yeah.
in this."
It
Yeah.
had
I was
mojo.
for it. I was for it for sure.
yeah.
But I remember we mentioned it very briefly to Paul, who we were recording the album with at the time, and he was like, "Absolutely not. Do not go touring in a ramshackle van. You will die. Get seatbelts."
And
Yeah,
which makes sense.
Shout out to Paul Beckler, who was a huge mentor for us throughout the recording and mixing process for Younger, and also probably prevented us from getting ourselves killed while on the road. So
Yeah.
shout out to Paul. Thank you for your wise words. I think. You know what? Listen to the rest of this episode and then figure out if we've learned better. I'm not going to say we have or not yet.
No, yeah. we'll let the audience decide that. So I feel like we probably looked at a couple of other vans, but that was the most notable one because I remember people coming like, "Oh, this van is sick!" Like it had like you're saying, like the 3 on the tree, the wood panels, and Brayson, of course, is like, "Yes, we have to tour in this. Like this is sick. Like this is the one." But so we moved on from the Mystery Machine, and then we arrived at our first ever tour van. So when we went to go look at this van, this was a 1996 Ford Econoline E350 extended cab. Wow, that's actually quite a mouthful.
It's a lot of words. Basically,
put
the
it all
big
together.
white van that you see parked outside of in like FBI movies, or like that would be
Yeah.
parked outside of an elementary school.
Like the
Yeah.
typical one, except the longest one that there
Yeah.
was.
Yeah,
And-
long name, long van.
Yeah, so finding our first tour, like we didn't really know what we were doing. Like I mean, like we had an idea of what we needed. We're like, we need a big van that can just fit shit. I feel like that was like
Yeah,
the only
100%.
criteria we
Yeah.
kind of like went into it too, right? So we show up. It's a farm in Surrey, and it was a guy selling it for another guy who lived across the street. And I mean, on the surface, like, it wasn't like the most perfect van. I mean, it had like some scuffs here and there, but like we were there and we were looking at it, and it was quite an ordeal in terms of like the transfer forms and stuff. And I know, Mike, I know that you remember this experience quite vividly, or at least a little bit.
Well, so who went? So it was me, Austin, Miles, you came, and then our friend Luke, right? I
Yes.
think Grayson,
Yeah.
you set this one out. So we test drove it. We were like, great, this is cool. We all fit in it. So that's a plus, and there's tons of room. And so we get the transfer paper from the guy, bring it to the insurance place, and then I was filling it out, and I was like, I think I spelled something wrong, and I crossed it out, and I heard the woman across the counter go, she just let out a little gasp, and I was like, what? And she goes, oh, well, you can't scratch. You need a new one. So we took a transfer form, drove back to the guy's farm, got him to sign it, came back, and then we did something else. Oh, he like forgot something. So we drove back again and then had to get him to fill out the form again. And then we finally went back and then we signed it over and it was ours.
Yes, it was a huge ordeal. And I mean, we want to be transparent with you guys about this because as you'll see, these couple tour vans we bought rather. I mean, I wouldn't say they were, I mean, they were mistakes, but they also shaped us into the people and band we are today. You know,
What is that? Very poor?
No,
Yeah.
because the experiences they gave us, you know, maybe not so much the first one, which we also named the ship or the SS Dunsmuir. Couple of different names there. The Dunsmuir, we'll have to maybe dive into Dunsmuir in another episode. We'll have to do an episode on inside jokes, I think, because there's like a lot to dive in that alone. That would actually be
Oh
pretty
yeah,
funny.
totally.
So we got the van, spent $3,500 on this thing. We were pretty pumped. Had low mileage. Like we said, like the inside was not the cleanest. It was a work van. Like we had to do some work to it. So
Yeah, I specifically remember when we were cleaning this van out, because this thing was originally used as like a carpentry van or something like that. There was a built-in wooden bench inside of it.
yep.
Oh
And
yes.
the amount, pardon my French here, the amount of fucking nails
Yes.
that were in this thing. We filled like, how big was the bucket we filled full of fucking nails? It was ridiculous.
It was so big. Like I couldn't fathom how many nails were in that. And the thing is, you would like rip out something and there you go behind something, there'd be more nails. You ripped out the plywood at the bottom. There was more nails at the bottom.
It
Which,
was-
like, in hindsight, very unsafe. Like, what the hell?
It reminded me of that episode of SpongeBob where like SpongeBob's taking care of like the baby scallop and he's just like pulling things apart and there's diapers everywhere. It was the same thing
Oh,
but
yeah.
nails.
That's
Just
a classic.
nails behind the walls, nails under the chair. It was ridiculous.
Completely forgot about that.
Yeah,
Good
so
episode.
the cleanup / like getting it prepped for tour took quite a bit of energy. Like it was like it was not like for the faint-hearted, I guess. Like it was like we had to grind out some stuff. We had to black out, like, I mean, of course we had to do stuff like blacking out the windows so people couldn't see in. There was a bunch of Bondo work that had to be done because we didn't
Yeah.
realize there was actually like quite a few areas that there was like holes in this thing. And then we also took it into a shop. Austin, I believe you took it into a shop, right?
Unfortunately, I did. Yes.
And how did that go for us?
Well, as you guys know, but the audience doesn't know, not well. So, essentially, there were several things wrong with this poor van. At first, we thought that the transmission needed to be replaced because essentially, whenever the thing would try and change gears, it would rev up really high and then slam into the next gear, which normally that means, okay, something's screwed with the transmission. Luckily for us, it was just the throttle position sensor. Sorry for people who don't know what that is. But essentially it was an easier fix. The unfortunate part was the entire braking system needed to be replaced because it was all, it was mucked. It was terrible. So at the end of the day, when all was said and done, and after I got down on my knees and I begged to the mechanic, being like, "Hi, we're a small van. Please don't charge us an arm and a leg for this. We are so poor." They took pity on me and we ended up paying $2,500-ish
Yeah. So
and
if
all
you're,
in for those repairs.
so if you're keeping tally, we are currently $6,000 into this van after purchasing it and getting it all fixed up. And I'm sure there was more expenses, like in terms of like, you know, just like the Bondo.
The seatbelts that we had to buy.
Yeah, we had to buy seatbelts
Fine.
for it.
Yeah, the seat belts that I had to install. I had to get under the van with these giant ass bolts and literally bolt the seat belt into the van. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't regret it. It was really funny.
Yeah, and then I mean, it was still a good time to like clean it up. Like I remember it was like ripping all the benches out. Like it was good bonding time for sure. Our buddy Luke helped us out huge with that, and it got kept at Brayson's house because that's where the only place we could store it was. So I remember we would be down there. I don't know how many days it took, but a couple days of
couple full days.
Yeah. Of just really diving into it and grinding out rust of certain parts, bondoing up parts, sanding it down. I mean, by the time we were done with it, I wouldn't say it looked better. It just looked like we had taken all the patches and just like, or the holes and just patched them up and just like put it together essentially.
Yeah, we didn't even bother painting it.
No, I mean, what's the point? Like we were just kind of like I think one of our thought process was like, okay, the shittier the van looks, the less likely it is that someone's going to break into it, right?
100%.
I do remember though, we spray painted the windows black.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We did black out the windows
From
and we
the
got
inside,
that.
and then we put like a grate on the back as well, and then we had a big master lock on the back that we all had keys to.
Yeah.
Austin and I went to the little hardware store and got like 20 sets of keys made from all of the keys, and we had little lanyards. It was very cute.
Yeah,
That was like I think we did that like the day we left for tour.
I think so
I'm
too.
pretty
Or
sure.
like the day before.
Yes, yeah, it's true.
And then so I figured since this is the episode where we talk about tour vans, it wouldn't be complete, especially since we're at this point in the story, because I think this is around the right time where we had the captain's hat. So for those of you that are listening and not watching the video, we made a point, because we called it the ship, we wanted to get a captain. So this is actually the second captain's hat. I actually don't even know if I know where the first one is.
It's somewhere in the jam room.
I think it molded.
It molded.
It is somewhere in the jam room. It fell apart, but it's somewhere.
So
yeah, because we never washed it.
Yeah, so that was the second. This is the second captain's hat we had. So I just wanted to make sure I had this on hand. And essentially, the rule was, like before we were to go out on tour, that if you were driving the ship, you had to have on the captain's hat, and that is been held true for the rest of our tours, even with our other tour vans. So that's a nice little tradition we like to have.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it makes for a bit of an awkward encounter with the cops if you get pulled over.
Yes.
Which has happened to us twice. Throughout all of our 3 tours, it's happened to us twice.
You just look very rowdy, like a van full of dudes.
Yeah,
and it's just like a frat party on wheels.
Exactly, especially when we're just like going to stop for food and stuff. Like the captain doesn't take his hat off usually. Like you just you
just do it. You live your life.
Yeah,
4 sweaty guys in like tank tops and flip flops and a captain's hat.
I remember one time after we finished, this was, I think, on our most recent tour, but it relates to this. On our most recent tour, we just finished playing a show in the Fog Lounge. Where was that again, guys?
Windsor.
Yeah, and so we were driving back to a place we were staying that was like kind of a bit more north in Ontario. And it was about like 2 or 2:30 in the morning. We stopped off at a Tim Hortons. Miles came in with me, and that night I decided to wear a kimono on stage. And I was driving home, so of course I was wearing the captain's hat. So I walk into this Tim Hortons at like 2:30, 2:45 in the morning, dressed in like jeans, a kimono, and a sailor captain's hat. And I'm like, can I have a grilled cheese?
It was in like the middle of nowhere too. Like it was like we had to drive. We had got off the highway and drove in the pitch black through these like farm roads.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't even a kimono. It was like a muumuu. It was like
that's actually pretty. Yeah. It was a muumuu.
What is a muumuu?
That's like a I don't know. It's like a nightgown for the day, basically.
A day gown?
A day gown.
It was incredible. That's one of my favorite memories from the most recent tour. It was just awesome. We're just like walking to the Tim Hortons and Austin just fucking walking.
Yeah.
muumuu or kimono or whatever is just flowing behind him. He's got the
Yeah, like
cap on.
everyone was like, Austin, don't you want to like take that off? I was like, I don't care. I'm gonna give these people in this restaurant a story.
I was not there for that.
No, you were in the other car.
Yeah, you're in the other
Yeah.
car. We'll touch on that when we get to the second tour van.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure
just
we'll
I
talk.
just wanted to quickly share that because that's such a funny memory of that tour.
I'm glad you brought it up because it's funny because like quite often when I look at this, the captain's hat, I do think of that exact point in time. So
That's
I'm
all I
happy you
want.
brought that up. So
Mhm.
so we have the ship. We fixed it all up, quotation marks, to the best of our ability. And then we took off. So one thing I can't actually remember as I was reviewing the notes here, did the AC break while we were on tour or was it broken when we bought it?
I
On
don't
the
think
ship,
it ever
was,
worked.
yeah.
Because it was a work van and it had been completely gutted, right? So it was like there was no AC and there was no radio.
Oh yeah, we
so
didn't
we
care.
drove. We didn't care, but we brought the little Bose speaker and we sat it on the cooler in between the front seats,
Right.
and that's how we would listen to music.
We all had earplugs in.
That was the best because there was no AC, so we drove with the windows down because it was like 30 degrees in the summer, and we all wore earplugs to be able to hear each other and talk.
Yeah, it was
And not
so-
get deafened.
It was so loud. Like I just remember it just being like it wasn't pleasant. Like I remember there was
No.
one point where I was just like, man, like this is fun. Like the aspect of touring is fun, but this little aspect of it fucking sucks. Like
Oh, I
having
thought
to,
it was hilarious.
It
I
was
love
hilarious.
that. I live for it.
Yeah, it was like we were stuck in our own little like microcosm of like like van self-deprecation and also just like finding the comedy in it.
Yeah.
It was really good.
So that so we only used the ship for one tour actually. So besides that, it was great. Like it ran fine, got us to all our destinations, great. Had no mechanical problems with it.
One of the doors stopped working, didn't it? We had to like open one door and
Yeah.
then go in through
Oh,
the
yes,
front
yeah,
and then
yeah.
like open the sliding back door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually that's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the latch mechanism stopped working.
But you know
But
what? That's actually a good thing, so people don't go in and steal.
True.
Not even us.
Not even us. So we went through our first Western Canadian tour, and we'll have another episode all about our tours. We just wanted to we thought the tour vans would be a good kind of story time because we want a lot of these podcasts to be stories, right? So we wanted to talk about the tour vans first. So we will be talking about our tours in the near future, so don't you worry. But so it took us through our Western Canadian tour. All was good. And then so we came back and then we had to we were planning another tour, a cross Canada tour this time. So before we even started booking or anything, we got the ship, we got that inspected to see if it could take us across Canada, I remember. So that's when we hired
Yeah.
Instamec to go to Brayson's house and to check out the van. And I remember he basically like did the thing and like afterwards he was like, the undercarriage is just like rust. Essentially.
Yeah.
He was like, the brake lines like are just all rusty, like it's just not looking good. He's like, you could do it, but one of those lines snaps or whatever, and essentially you guys
We're
were
dead.
toast. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, probably not a good idea to take that. So then we had to sell it. And I remember before we sold it, there was a ceiling in it, like an insulated ceiling. And it looked ugly. Like it was just someone had tried to rip it out before. And we were just like, screw it. Like we're just gonna rip out the ceiling. Like what purpose does this ceiling kind of serve, right? And so I remember, I think it was me and Luke, we just completely ripped it out. And then and then it came time to have to sell the van, right? And I remember every time that I would have to show it, like I would go down there. I mean, I remember the first time I went to show it. I opened the van and there's just water everywhere on the inside, like just like droplets, like anything you had ever seen. Like it's just water sticking to the ceiling. Essentially, like it sounds weird, but that's what it was. It was like little
Yes.
droplets, just like everywhere on the ceiling. And I was just like, oh God, like
Mm-hmm.
there's just moisture everywhere. And so basically what would happen is every time I had to show it to someone, I would go down there like 20 minutes early with like like two huge like dry towels and just
Yeah.
be like and just like wipe the entire thing down to get all the water out of it so that when people came they wouldn't see moisture in it.
Mm-hmm.
But oh man, selling that thing, I mean, I didn't even end up selling it. I remember we
No, it was my dad.
we
Just,
pawned
like,
it off to your
relinquished.
dad.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Mike.
We just like relinquished all responsibility, and we were like, I think we gave him a cut. We were like, hey, can
Yeah.
you sell this van?
Yeah,
And we'll give you a cut of it, and we'll just like wipe our hands of this behemoth.
yeah, because it took
Yeah.
a while for us to sell too. Because I remember we tried to sell it in like late of, I guess it would be 2017, right? 2017, late
Mhm.
2017. We tried to sell it rather. Am I
Killing
on the
it.
right, or is it the
I
year
think
after?
it would have been probably in 2018.
2018.
when we
That
started
yes,
to, like,
28
think about it.
2018 is right because
Mm-hmm.
I attempted to sell it at the end of the year, and then the year rolled over, and I had to go to Amsterdam. So I remember
Mhm.
we still hadn't sold the van yet when I was in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
No.
Oh no,
I-
my timing is all screwed up. That is such a lie because I drove limp dick.
yeah, was
during
that with
that.
the other van?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
2017 then
Mm-hmm.
into
Okay.
2018. But moral of the story, took us forever to sell it. Ended up selling it for $1,500.
Yeah.
All that money that we put into that poor van, and
Yep.
look what it gave us.
Yep. So
One
that was
tour and $1,500.
yeah, one tour and $1,500. So not exactly the best ROI, not exactly the best track record with our first van, right?
But wait, it gets worse.
It,
It does
perfect
get worse.
perfect segue, Austin. I love that you said that. Sorry, Mike.
I was gonna say that's it. You couldn't put it any better than that.
You couldn't put any better.
It
So
got
What
worse.
can I say?
enter Limp Dick, our second tour van.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Mike.
We I was just gonna say the way that we we'll get into this, I'm sure. But Limp Dick was the name that we ended up giving the van while we
Yes.
were on tour. But we'll talk about that. But it was, we played a show with a band called Ivory Hours. They'd come out this way and they had toured from Ontario in a minivan. And that's we were still driving the ship, and we were like, "Hey, you guys toured Canada in a minivan?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's a bit tight, but like we get it done."
Yeah.
I think that's like what planted the seed in our heads
Mm-hmm.
that we were gonna get a minivan to tour in.
Yes.
Yes. I
And
remember that.
they even brought amps too. They managed to fit amps in their tour van.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They had, I mean, their van was, and they had what the Thule on top as well.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of storage, and that was definitely the first kind of inkling that when it was time to buy a van for our cross Canada tour, that we would downsize because we think we could fit it. Because when we had the E350, like it was just so big, like it was huge. Like you think about how much space that van had in it, like.
Oh,
it
yeah.
had so much space. When we were packing it, we were just like, let's bring everything we have.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
the
Like,
tour.
and we brought an entire PA system.
Yeah. Which
Which
we
we
did end
did
up
need.
using.
We
Mhm.
did. That's true. So it was good. So before we get into the van we bought, there's we looked at a bunch of different, not a bunch of different vans. We basically had two models in mind because we needed 5 seats, but we needed the bench seat, the seat with 3 that fits 3 people, to be in the middle. And there's a very limited amount of vehicles where you can actually take the bench seat that's in the very back of a minivan and move it forward. And those 2 models were the Pontiac Montana and the Ford Windstar. Those were the only, I'm pretty sure those are the only 2 we really looked at, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And they
Yeah.
were both terrible choices.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking back on it, just like no bueno.
Mm-mm.
So I have a note here that Mike and Osti went to test drive a Montana. So how did that go? Do you guys remember what that was like?
Yeah,
Was
It
it,
was
pretty
fine.
pretty uneventful?
it was like,
Yeah.
I feel like we met the guy like somewhere in New West, and then we just like drove it around for a bit, and then we were like,
Mhm.
no.
Good.
I don't know.
No.
Like, I don't remember there being anything wrong with it.
It just
I just
didn't
feel
have the mojo.
It wasn't. Yeah, we were just like, we weren't feeling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also went and tested another Ford Windstar
Yeah.
that was in Maple Ridge, and it was like decked out with all this cool like entertainment center stuff. Like it had like a pull down screen, it had like a nice sound system, and it was listed for the only thing I would call it is suspiciously cheap. So it was cool, but I think we dodged a bullet there. Was it a bigger bullet than the one we bought? Don't know.
Yeah. Stay tuned. You be
Also-
the judge.
Miles, I forgot that we also test drove. I don't even know if we test drove. We went and saw a van in like Surrey.
Yeah.
Like a silver. It might have been an Odyssey. Like
No,
a
it was
Honda.
a Windstar.
Was it a Windstar?
It was a Windstar Sport. I remember because it was kind of shitty because we went all the way out there, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it's not insured." So
Oh,
remember?
wow.
So we went out there and we just like looked at it and started up, and we were like,
Cool.
"Yeah, yeah,
Goodbye.
yeah." Basically, I remember the guy was like really nice and like that was really clean, but that was
Yeah.
just kind of that. And like in hindsight, I feel like that van would have probably maybe fared us better just based on. I mean, we never got to drive it, so I can't really say that. But I remember there was work done to it. Anywho's, so we test drove a couple of different vans, and then we found this one Windstar in Burnaby. It was Burnaby, and it was a beautiful champagne color with
A champagne brown.
champagne brown with a nice kind of gray brown bumper to match that had like oil stains all over it.
Oh yeah, the oil stains.
Yep.
It really reflected like the champagne turd aesthetic it eventually took on as we used it.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember there was a couple of trips to it, wasn't there? Like we took a couple trips. There was like one where we went to go see it, and then we went back and bought it, I believe.
Mhm.
We had it we got an inspector to come and inspect it before we bought it.
Yes.
Right? Because we
That's right.
learned. I think that's the worst part about this story, and like how much this van did us dirty was that we learned from our first tour van. We were like, we're gonna get it inspected. We're gonna do all this stuff. And alas.
And it was funny because when we got it inspected, it was the exact same mechanic that inspected the ship and basically said, "Hey,
Oh yes.
your undercarriage is fucked and rusted." So it was the exact same guy. And I was like, "Hey, you did this for us not too long ago. Hopefully this one goes better." So we got
And he said it was fine.
He did
right?
say it was fine. He said it was fine. There's like I can't remember. I don't know. We could pull up the report if we really wanted to, but I don't think there was anything like super pressing about it. Like not that I can
No,
remember.
there's like something with the the back, like the rear right brake.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like there was a small fluid leak there. But essentially, in comparison to what we had to deal with the past van, it at the point was pretty small potatoes.
Exactly. Very small potatoes. So we were
Like so small.
and the thing is, I think it was listed for what was it listed for? It was like listed for $2,200 or $2,300. I want to say.
Yeah,
in
and I
that
think we
ballpark.
paid like 17 or 1800.
18.
Yeah.
Something like
sounds
that.
Yeah.
We paid $1,800. We got him down, and the guy was very nice. Like he was moving to Texas, I believe. He was super nice. Like I don't know, just a nice guy. Like it all felt good, right? Like buying the
Right.
van, like it just felt like it was good. Like yeah, I mean the van was an eyesore to say the least. I mean it's a fucking Ford Windstar. Like what do you expect? Like there was also a dent in it, but again, our thought process is the shittier the van looks, the more likely people aren't going to break into it. And I remember there's also, I know you guys will remember this because there was a sticker on the back. I can't remember what it said. Did it say like vacation? It was like a blue sticker, and it said like
What was it?
vacation,
Oh,
I thought it said
yes.
something like Hawaii or something like that.
something
Did
like
we
that.
did we leave that on?
No, so
Yeah.
so here, this is what I'm getting at. Because when we drove it, like when we had it and we were like getting it ready, I was like, oh, we should just get rid of the sticker. Like this is ugly. And then we peel the sticker back, and it has this like this huge crack in the van, like this massive.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. There's like a huge crack. And I remember the sticker was so stuck on there that we couldn't get all of it off. So the only part of the sticker that we got off was the part that was covering the crack. So it was like sticker, tear, big crack, and then the rest of the sticker on the other side.
Yeah, that should have been like our omen.
Yeah.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah. So, sorry, Mike?
No, but we didn't heed that warning.
No, we didn't. And there was also a huge dent in the side. There was also that before we bought it. But like we said, doesn't matter. Shittier the van looks, better it is for us.
And it got worse again.
And indeed, it did. So, enter our first Canadian tour. All right, everybody. So we are going to cap off part 1 of the Tour Van Saga episode there. We didn't really realize how long we would be talking about this subject for, although we should have known because we knew we were going to have a lot of fun talking about this subject and we'd have lots to say on it. So with that being said, we wanted to put it into 2 parts to make it more digestible for you. So please be sure to come back for the next episode where we dive deeper into the Tour Van Saga and we really talk about some of the struggles we had during some of our tours and how it all wraps up and some of our closing thoughts just on tour vans overall. So come back next week and thank you so much for tuning in to this part 1 of the Tour Van Saga series on BandChat. Thanks.